The story of Nelson Mandela, a man who changed the world. Introduction. Nelson Mandela was one of the greatest leaders in history. He fought for freedom, equality, and justice in South Africa. His life was full of struggles, but he never gave up. Because of his bravery and determination, he became the first black president of South Africa. His story is an inspiration for the whole world. Early life. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in a small village called Mvezo in South Africa. His full name was Rolihlahla Mandela. In his language, Rolihlahla means pulling the branch of a tree, but it also means troublemaker. Mandela's father was a chief in his village, and his family was respected. However, when Mandela was very young, his father died. After this, he was sent to live with a powerful leader of the Thembu people. This gave Mandela the chance to get a good education. At the age of 7, Mandela went to school. His teacher gave him the English name, Nelson, because it was common at that time for African children to be given English names. Mandela was a bright student, and he wanted to help his people. Education and early struggles. Mandela studied at Fort Hare University, but he was expelled for taking part in a student protest. He moved to Johannesburg, where he worked as a security guard and a law clerk. He later joined the University of Witwatersrand and studied law. During this time, Mandela saw how black people were treated unfairly. The South African government, run by white people, had a system called apartheid. This system separated black people from white people. Black people were not allowed to vote, live in good areas, or even use the same public facilities as white people. Mandela decided to fight against this unfair system, the fight against apartheid. In 1944, Mandela joined the African National Congress (ANC), a political group that wanted equal rights for black people. He helped organize protests, speeches, and marches. However, the government did not like this. In 1952, Mandela and his friend Oliver Tambo started the first black law firm in South Africa. They helped black people who were treated unfairly, but the government arrested Mandela many times for his political activities. In 1960, the South African government banned the ANC after the Sharpeville massacre, where police killed 69 black protesters. The government became even stricter, and Mandela had to go into hiding. Arrest and 27 years in prison. In 1962, Mandela was arrested for leaving the country without permission. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but in 1964, during the famous Rivonia trial, he was accused of planning to overthrow the government. The court sentenced him to life in prison. Mandela was sent to Robben Island, a prison in the middle of the sea. The conditions were terrible. Prisoners had to do hard labor, and they were not given good food. They were only allowed to see their families once every 6 months. However, Mandela never lost hope. He continued to learn, read, and inspire other prisoners. He became a symbol of the fight for freedom and becoming president. The world started to notice the unfair treatment of black people in South Africa. Many countries refused to do business with South Africa. People all over the world demanded free Nelson Mandela. In 1990, after 27 years in prison, Mandela was finally released. His release was celebrated across the world. He became the leader of the ANC again and worked with the South African President F.W. de Klerk to end apartheid. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections. For the first time, black people were allowed to vote. Nelson Mandela won the election and became the first black president of South Africa. He promised peace, unity, and equal rights for all. Later life and legacy. Mandela served as president until 1999. After that, he continued to work for peace and human rights. He traveled the world, met world leaders, and helped fight diseases like HIV/AIDS. In 2013, at the age of 95, Nelson Mandela passed away. The whole world mourned his death, but his legacy of peace and equality continues. Lessons from Mandela's life. 1. Never give up. Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but he never lost hope. 2. Forgive others, even after suffering so much. He forgave those who treated him badly. 3. Stand up for what is right. He fought for justice, even when it was dangerous. 4. Believe in unity. He worked to bring black and white people together. Conclusion. Nelson Mandela's story is one of courage, sacrifice, and hope. He proved that one person can change the world. His life teaches us to fight for justice, forgive others, and always believe in a better future. Do you want to learn more inspiring stories? Subscribe to our channel and stay with us on this journey of learning English through powerful stories.